Okay, guys, so if you made it this far, you have now learned about the top three CRM systems. You've learned about other CRM systems that you can major in, and you've learned about certifications. So today we're going to jump into landing a job, and then tomorrow or today, if you're watching this just all the way through, we're going to dive into setting yourself up for success and what kind of pay rate you should be looking for. Okay, so to recap, we talked about how there are top three certification or top three CRM systems that I think everyone needs to learn and get certified in. We talked about my cheat code, which was basically starting with HubSpot, going through HubSpot University, and taking those top three certifications I told you about on a 14-day trial. That gives you 2 weeks to get 3 certifications, and it's doable, very, very doable. I think the longest you're going to kind of work for a certification is probably 3 hours at most. Most of these are like an hour video with a test. So as long as you can pay attention, you're going to be good. But that will set you up to have a foundation of the terminology and the knowledge that's going to be used moving forward. So we're going to talk about getting a job, pay rate, all that stuff in this lesson. And then moving on, I'm going to start teaching you guys some of the more advanced things. We'll be diving through Marketo. We'll be diving through HubSpot, Go High Level, a few others. So this is going to be a pretty cool course. So if you are part of my student course and you're part of the school account, just know we are making new lessons like this every single week. And we are going live every single Sunday evening for those who have questions. So thank you guys again for being part of that account if you are. So let's jump into it. So we talked about getting certified. We talked about the best practices. All right, there we go. So the reality check is that your first role isn't going to be lucrative. Now, if you want to grow in this world fast, I would recommend getting an internship. My company does internships. There are a lot of other companies that do internships. If you get your HubSpot certification and you're like, this is great, and you jump on LinkedIn and you think you're going to get a job just because you're certified, no, that's not going to happen. But what you can do is find HubSpot partners, reach out to them, ask them if you can be a fly on the wall, if you can work on a capacity of an intern so that you can get experience behind your belt and then just run things. If you run your own company, it's even easier because you can easily just give yourself work and integrate HubSpot with your company and build your own experience. But if you don't run your own company, you're going to need someone to give you that experience. Companies seek potential over experience sometimes, not all the times, but a lot of times they will. So if they see that you are joining, you're an intern, you're learning, you're getting well, eventually you will be hired and you'll be given an offer. I know the same thing happens with us. I've had people work side by side with me, eventually offer them a job. Eventually they break away from me and start their own agency. And I'm like, hooray all the way, man. That's pretty awesome. So it is good to make sure. Now, CRM skills enhance earning potential, but your first role, just think of it as your launch pad. So if you're doing this well and you're doing this right and you're following everything I'm saying, most likely you have already been certified after your first month learning this kind of course. And you are already on your way of getting an internship or working with a company. So if you can get an internship or you can just start playing around with the software, you're like, oh, month number 1. By month number 4 or 5, you should have already had some good experiences with an internship or with working with a company. And by month 6 or 7, you're kind of getting out there and spreading your wings and seeing if you can get a job with the experience that you now have. The whole goal of this whole training is for you to, by month 12, land your first job. So just want you guys to know that. You get through this whole program and by month 12, you don't have your first job and you need to reach out to us and just be like, hey, what did I do wrong? And we will gladly tell you, or we will help you out if you think you're doing everything right. But everybody should be at a good place by then. Now, role titles. Let's talk about this. You have the specialist, which is basically an entry-level position in marketing automation. So if you see something on LinkedIn that says, we need a marketing automation specialist, we need a engagement specialist, an email specialist. These are low kind of entry-level roles. So if you have a background in administration and you have a certification in HubSpot, most likely you can join one of these roles pretty easily. And it's like, you know what? I know administration, I know HubSpot, I know how to send emails. Great, you're hired. And those jobs will start out usually around $20 an hour, 25 on average, I'd say. Coordinator supports CRM initiatives and campaigns. So if you see that coordinator role, that is a little bit higher, still kind of more entry level. Associate collaborates on campaign operational tasks. So just good to know. An analyst analyzes marketing performance and data. So certain people are database driven, analyst driven, and they go into the CRM world as an analyst. You are very rare people, and you are going to do well. Other people go in to kind of work on the operational side of things, and those operational managers usually get paid pretty well as well. Coordinators are basically, you're coming into a CRM space as more of a PM role. You're like, I can manage your project and I understand your CRM that you're using. That is really rare to find. So it is needed. I've had project managers that knew nothing about the CRM that they were managing a project over, and it was not fun for me, the staff, or anybody else. So yeah, entry level starting salary is going to be about $50,000 to $60,000. Now that is pretty good at starting. There's not many roles that you're going to walk in and just be at $50,000 at a starting level. So trust me, it is a good place to be. My first job when I learned Marketo was paying me $40,000 a year, and I was just like, okay. And immediately I was just like, get me out of this job, $40,000 a year. That's kind of cheesy. But then I thought, okay, I'm going to stay here for 6 months, build up my experience. Then I'll try to find something else. So I stayed there for 6 months, built up that experience, and eventually got my first contract role with the Atlanta Hawks. And that job started me out at $50 an hour. And that changed my life. Like, that was like really, really cool. And so mid-level, you're going to think more on that level. So if you have your 1 year experience, 2 year experience, you can probably go for mid-level, which is like 60 to 80,000. Experienced people, typically, and I say experienced, that means you have over 3 years under your belt, you're now hitting $100,000. And then senior levels hit more than that. You're like 100 to 150. Senior level just means you've been doing this longer than 6 or 7 years, and you are, you have all the certifications, the experiences, you've been through some challenges, you've made some mistakes, and, that's kind of a great place to be. But by the end of the year, if you're taking this course correctly and you're following everything I'm saying, you should easily be at the $60,000 level and be way on your way to the $100,000 level. And I'm going to show you how to do that kind of on the side. So these numbers currently that we're looking at are for full-time roles. You're like, I want this to be my career. I want to stay at this company forever, and I want benefits and the whole package. That's great. More money comes to those who are independent contractors because the company doesn't have to pay for benefits or contractors. So if you get into this and you get a role, within your first 3-4 months as a contractor, normally as a contractor, you're going to be paid more, much about $45, $50 starting out. And that's going to be tax-free. So you're immediately, starting out at like 70,000-ish. And as a contractor, not only are you able to pick up a role as a contractor making, even if the role is paying you $30 an hour because you're so green, that's fine. You can get 2 of those roles as a contractor, and now you're making $60 an hour. And you can easily job stack in this world. And so do the math. So certifications open doors to opportunities. My camera now tells me it's 20%, so I'm going to rush through this. Employers want to see your skills. Now, they will look at your certifications, and that will get you through the door. But then after that, you need to prove to them that you understand what you are doing. So you need to make sure that you can build a campaign on the spot and that you can troubleshoot on the spot, because people will put you on the spot and say, hey, build me an email campaign. If you don't know how to do that, that means you didn't listen to me in the first place and didn't get your certification. So now you're being called out. But if you've gotten your certification, gone through the test, that will be very easy for you to do. Troubleshooting just means, hey, an email was supposed to go out. It didn't. What happened? How would you find that out? Hey, a report was supposed to be issued out. That report never happened. How would you find that out? Like, you need to know how to troubleshoot. What gets me through the door a lot is my experience. And in my interview process, I'm usually just telling them, like, listen, there's not a problem I haven't seen because I've been doing this for so long, and I have paperwork and documentation to back it up. So if they're like, hey, have you been in a situation where the lead scoring just wasn't firing off right? No problem. Here's documentation that I wrote. Here's how I handled it. If I'm jumping in an interview, I'm already having my portfolio like ready. The moment somebody asks me a question, I'm sharing my screen, I'm showing them what I've done, and I'm going to teach you guys to do the same thing. And that's where we get to portfolio. Have screenshots. Never, oh my goodness, I will tell you, like, the biggest mistake I see with people looking for a job, especially in technology, is that they have zero portfolio. I had a goodness. I'm going to get off the soapbox in a second, but I was talking to somebody who was with the company for 6 years. Company laid them off. They're looking for a new job. And I'm asking him, okay, what does your portfolio look like? And he's just like, I didn't save anything that I did. I'm like, oh, man, this is rough. Save everything. I mean, now, don't save personal information. If you're working for a pharmaceutical company or like legal purposes, don't save database information, but save your work, save screenshots, save landing pages, save if you've made an improvement and got a high five from somebody, write that out, have that ready so that you have something to show, have metrics ready. Hey, I worked with this company. They didn't have anything to do with CRMs. I jumped in, I helped this office out. Everything was so much better. Here's what I did to make things better. Have all that stuff ready. That is what makes you the big bucks. That's what gets you through the door. And that is what's going to definitely land you a job, when you have that. If you don't have screenshots, landing pages, improvements, metrics to show people, good luck. But no one's going to just listen to what you have to say. And I've watched even some students of mine, I am in the room with them and they're like, can you give us an example? No, can't really think of it. And I'm just on the other side of the room, just like pulling up my hair, like, you've lost this one, dude. Like, you've lost it. So make sure you have that ready. And the best thing you can do is make a portfolio website. I have quite a few portfolio websites. I even made my own, like my agency website. I use that as my portfolio now. But before, I used to just have thatdigitalstrategist.com. You clicked on that, it's a big picture of me or a video of me talking about my experience, showing screenshots of different clients I've helped. That sets me apart from 99% of the people out there trying to get the same job. And that highlights my skills. It shows the projects I've worked on, and it shows the outcomes. I'll be like, hey, Atlanta Hawks needed this. This is what I did. Microsoft needed this. This is what I did. Zillow needed this. This is how, and I'm showing all that work before they even talk to me. They're looking at my portfolio like, wow. Like my first job, my major job as a CRM specialist was with the Hawks. And I walked in there and they were like, dude, you would have to spit on us and dance on the table for us not to hire you because we saw your portfolio. And I'm like, oh, portfolio did all the work for me. That was pretty amazing. So we want that to happen with you guys as well. So even if you are doing tests with your certification and it's like, make a campaign and you make that campaign, screenshot that stuff, just screenshot it, put it out there. So you have experience showing in your resume. So resume best practices are going to be your certifications, the platforms that you specialize in, metrics to show outcomes that you've actually done, and projects. Certain people that I know will take the timeline out of their resume so that people aren't guessing on their experience, and they will literally just put in project. Like this is different things I have done and just make their experience speak for itself so that people don't necessarily ask them how long they've been working in this. They just see like, oh, wow, this person is like a specialist because look at all the things they've done. It's another resume hack you can do if you're new and green. And obviously job searches. So those job boards, pages, platforms, networking, I'm going to be creating an automation and I will show you guys this automation. Using agent mode with ChatGPT, I have an agent that activates every Monday, goes on LinkedIn and applies for all easy apply jobs for me with the keyword Marketo. It does it every Monday. I don't have to search. It just does it. I have another agent that I trained how to go to Indeed and sign up for jobs, and that agent activates. So with automation, you can do these things, and with AI, you can do these things. But there's going to be other pages. I will have some documentation after this that you guys can click on, and it will show you all the major job board pages that I go to find tech jobs. But automation is a key. It is the key. And all right, so application strategy. Target meaningful job applications. Duh. Most people are going to say duh, but it does matter. I have people who have a Salesforce background trying to get a Marketo job, and I'm like, what are you doing? Somebody was in my office just yesterday with an analytics background trying to get, an operational job, and I'm like, stop it. Like you're wasting all your time. You're wasting all your emotions. It's just stick with what you know. Tailor resumes to each job. Use AI. I can't stress enough to use AI. Don't just use it, okay? So if somebody says, we want a cover letter, AI, paste your job description in ChatGPT and say, I need a cover letter. Here's my resume. And it will take your resume and write it to that cover letter every single time. always use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT on my resumes. I'll write up my resume and I'll say, hey, make this so that an AI will grab it and put it to the top of the line. And ChatGPT will grab my resume, change it up so that these AI systems that are checking multiple resumes will catch mine with the keywords. I will say, hey, here's a job, here's my resume, rewrite my resume to fit this job. Boom, done. Now I'm getting in front of the right people. Understand the company's needs and obviously mention CRM challenges during applications. So engage. I always search the company first. So when I jump on an interview with them, I'm like, hey, I was looking at your company. How are you guys doing this, that? And I want to turn the tables, you know? I always turn the tables. If I'm interviewing with somebody, I'm like, no. I'm interviewing you. Like, you're not interviewing me. Like, I'm asking all the questions because I've done my research, right? I'm like, I've looked at your company. I see your forms. How's that form being done? How's the website being done? Do you have Munchkin running? How are leads coming to your automation? What are you guys doing for project management? And I'm asking these questions to show them like, okay, this guy has experience. He knows what he's doing. Now they're against the wall like, wow, okay, we got to answer these questions. Like this guy's asking all these questions. I want that to happen because it makes me now control the room and control the questions that are being asked of me. The last interview I did, she didn't get a chance to ask me any questions. She was like responding to what I was saying at the beginning to like, well, let me respond to that. How did you do that? Okay, let me respond. And I would just explain to her my experience off the bat and letting her respond to my experience rather than ask me questions I may not have experience in. Which brings me to the first one. Discuss your experience, platform use, detail a successful campaign project, troubleshoot, make sure you have troubleshooting in there, and then share your learning journey. So always have troubleshooting in your interviews. If somebody's like, tell me about yourself, which is the first thing that green interviewers say, tell me about yourself. And you're like, I was born in, no. Be like, oh yeah, sure. I've been working on CRM systems for a while now. I've been, focused on it. This has been my superpower. And there's been a lot of issues I've handled leading up to this point, such as, and you go into those issues. Let them ask you questions about issues and things you've actually troubleshooted, even if you've done it by yourself. If you have a HubSpot subscription and you're jumping on there and saying, all right, ChatGPT, give me 5 major issues that are always happening in HubSpot. Great, here they are. Okay, recreate those issues, solve those issues, write it in your resume. Now you have something to talk about. Now you've just given yourself years of experience with one prompt. You're welcome for that. So obviously, to be successful with this job that you're going to get, make sure you're competent, you're mastering the tools, you're problem solving, you're communicating, and you're always learning. We don't just learn this to stop. We are always learning. I am consistently looking for new CRMs out there and trying to get certifications in those CRMs because it just makes me look better as a agency owner, and it gets me in front of the right people. So I was just in a call yesterday and they brought up our CRM called Braze. Like, no one even knows what this is. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting my certification in that. And just me saying that was enough to them, the whole room, to kind of turn to me like, you are? I'm like, yeah, I've been learning it. It's a new tool. People are talking about it. And that's just like, great. Explain to us what it does. And so even if I don't have my certification, just the fact that I can prove that I'm learning kind of makes me a subject matter expert when I'm in a room of people who don't know that knowledge. So, end thing I'm going to end with before my phone dies. So, keep your resume updated continuously. Like I said, if you're applying for a job, upload your resume to ChatGPT, take that job title, paste it in ChatGPT, and say, turn my resume into this job. Like, make my resume conducive to this job. Do that every time, and you'll get in front of the right jobs. Make sure you have a portfolio website. That is the key. Make sure it's a website. If it's not a website, at least have a portfolio folder in your computer. So when you jump on an interview, you're just waiting. You're like, give me a reason, give me a question, So they're like, when was the last time? Great, sharing my screen, showing you what I've done. That's what people want to see. That's what I want to see as an interviewer. So, and obviously networking. Make sure you're networking well. Marketo has a summit. HubSpot has a summit. Make sure you're going to those and you're doing well with that. Okay, steps. Early roles are launching points. Just remember that. You're not going to make $100,000 off your first job. That's not what this course is about. This course is about getting you through the door and then teaching you. And then by the end of this year, I believe you will be on your way to making those kind of money. Now, think about college for a second. If you're doing this course and you're following what I'm saying, instead of going to college and giving them $100,000 or $60,000 a semester or whatever the stupid cost is, and then you're doing all these things, and 4 years later, you're graduating college, they're not going to teach you this. Trust me. you're graduating college with a business administration degree or some type of computer science degree that's so general, you're going to need somebody like me to teach you CRMs. And now you're starting where you could have been, I don't know. It's just, let me calm down. But you're starting where you could have been already if you're starting now. I have students who graduated with a business degree, joined my program. Now they're with their own agency, making $90,000, $100,000. And at the same time, I'm looking at them like, you could have just done this 4 years ago, bro. Like, you would have been so far ahead. By the time your friends are done with their 4-year degree, you're going to be making 6 digits. They're going to be graduating college, looking for a job, trying to get experience, trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. And you're going to be so far ahead because you're doing the right things. So thank you guys for watching this, for getting this far. And I'm just want to let you know, like, this is a much cheaper route than giving college all of your money if you want to get into this type of work, because what this is going to do is going to prep you, prepare you, put you in a world that you need to stay in. And within the next year or two, you're going to be at a role that you love. It's going to be remote. You can work from anywhere in the world with these type of jobs. Anywhere in the world. I have worked from Asia. I lived in China for 4 years while working for Microsoft. I lived in Japan while working with an agency. I've done these things because all of our work is remote. Last year, I spent a month in India and with my wife, and my work didn't stop. I had to change my schedule a little bit and start working at like 5 at night till like 2 in the morning, but I was still getting my work done while we were enjoying India. So it's just a cool life to live when you're in the tech world. Trust me. You will love it. You will thank me for it. So the consultant path is important. If you want to be an independent contractor or a consultant, I would say learn 2 to 3 years. You're going to have a higher potential for earning. You're going to be more flexible, and you can begin part-time while you're employed. That just means, like, if I am working in a job and I'm getting my experience and it's been like a year or two and I'm like, I think I can hold my own. That's when I can go and start getting clients on the side, maybe 15 hours a week here, 10 hours a week there, and building myself up as a consultant. If I'm making $40 an hour as an entry level, in a CRM, but I have a full-time job that's stable, okay, that's fine. But I can still charge 60 over here for 15 hours a week and make extra money there until I build enough client base that I can just go full-time with consultant. Now I choose my own calendar, I choose my own meetings, I travel when I want, and everything is just good. Everything's good when you're there, trust me. So your first 90 days, we're going to talk about after you have your certifications, polish your resume, target places that will hire for interns or entry level, network with people on LinkedIn, connect to Engage Post, which is my agency. I'll put that in the comments below, and we will brief you up. And prepare the same way we're doing now. Rehearse those questions. Make sure you have a portfolio and make sure you have things to show. Make sure you have the right mindset. You're coming in as a strategic partner. That just means, like, whenever I interview with somebody, I'm not talking about, what I would do per se. I'm talking about what we would do. So I'm looking at your website. I think we could really make this work if we just changing that word. If I said, I think I can make this work, it takes it away from them. But when I'm like, we can really make this work, guys. I think if we came together and made a form that would lead score and blah, 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 blah. Just changing the I to we. Now I'm a partner. Now I'm part of the team, even though they haven't hired me yet. So that brings value and it communicates effectively. And if you can say it confidently, even better. And then obviously continuously level up. So next time we meet, we're going to be talking about some things I've already touched on, such as your worth, your rates, tiers, and how to negotiate your pay. So thank you guys for watching, and we will talk to you again soon.